Turning Red is one of the new Pixar films. This is one I'm not actually a fan of. I think that the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes is too high for Turning Red. I think that what happened here is the critics looked at the movie and went, "Oh, it's nice that this movie is different, that it explores things you usually don't explore in a Pixar film. It's a necessary change of pace. Was a brave move on the part of Pixar to discuss these kind of issues, adolescence for girls in a Pixar movie." And I can kind of get that. Like, okay, Pixar, I can give you some credit for doing something different, but does it actually work? In the case of Turning Red, I don't think it does. Because, for one, I think that our main characters here are really annoying. And then, more importantly, the movie goes so far with the main character's, Mayleen's mom, being out of touch with her that she's just portrayed as so tone deaf, so insensitive, so overbearing. And therefore, I feel like the movie's sending the audience this message that, hey, you can trust your friends because they know what's best for you. They're the ones that are in touch, but you cannot trust your parents because they don't know what you're going through. Now, when it comes to Mayleen's dad, unlike the mom, he seems like a good guy who is just dominated by her in most circumstances, so he is more quiet and reserved. But in that one scene where he's talking with his daughter, you feel like he's actually a good guy. But because of how the mother is portrayed, in particular, when you get to the end of the movie where the mom is literally the villain, and you have our main character twerk as an act of sexual rebellion, something like that. It makes the movie feel like it's constantly sending this message of, hey, you can trust your friends, but not your parents. And I don't think that's a good message to send in a Pixar film that's in a film that's being put out by a studio that normally makes movies for both kids and adults. Normally, you have parents that take their children to see a Pixar film, but if they take their kids to see Turning Red, well, it's going to be awkward and uncomfortable. And I feel like the movie doesn't send a good message. Now, to be clear, I think that a movie can explore these kinds of topics about pads, girls growing up, all the things that happen as a result of that. In fact, I think the movie Dear God, It's Me, Margaret is the example of how to tackle those issues in the right way, whereas Turning Red is the perfect example of how to tackle those issues in the wrong way, because it doesn't handle these more sensitive topics in a tactful way. It handles them in a not tactful way. So for parents, it's awkward to take their kids to Turning Red. But these kind of topics are the things that are not easy to talk about. They're awkward, uncomfortable, so you have to handle these kind of things with care. And I don't think that Turning Red does that. Now, there are good things about this movie. I like that by the end, Maylee and her mom have a much better relationship than they did before. I like the moment where the two of them are talking when they're both in that like spirit world. That is a good conversation. And then I like that after that we see that she's actually being much more sensitive than before, is actually totally fine with Maylee's friends, and therefore it's heartwarming to be sure. And again, I like the dad in this movie, and I mean there's some good visuals to be sure, but overall, I don't think that the movie really works. I don't think it should have as high of a critic score on Rotten Tomatoes as it does.